or speakers, are Doug Ponsford and Mesud Sali. Now, Mesud I don't know so well, but certainly Doug I have known for many years. I met Doug when I first started investing in property. Doug Ponsford has been investing, been in the property industry for around 30 years now. First 25 years, which is where I met him, was as an IFA mortgage broker and the likes. Doug has always been very successful as far as I've known in everything that he's done. He's been investing using instalment contracts for the last 3.5 years, and he's been making over £50,000 in every deal, and he's done over 40 deals. So if any of you would like to learn a little bit about that, which hopefully you will, he's come along here tonight with his business partner Mesud to share some of that with you. So if we can give Doug and Mesud a very warm welcome.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Good evening, Manchester.
Good evening,
How are you?
Manchester.
So, in the next 40 to 50 minutes, we're going to show you how you can be making between £40,000 and £50,000 per deal. Actually, it says up there £50,000 plus now. We've upgraded it. £50,000 per deal by using instalment contracts. And we're going to show you how you can be doing that without taking out a mortgage.
No mortgage.
And without the need of a deposit. And this is a great one, without a credit check and without even having to find a tenant. That's a new one. Right, we don't need any tenants anymore. Without having to pay for voids and repairs, and without paying for maintenance. In fact, we're going to show you how to do this without any experience whatsoever. So before we start, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Doug Ponsford, and as Susan very kindly introduced me, I've been in the property arena over 30 years. In fact, I've purchased my first property in 1975. In the late 80s, I set up an IFA mortgage broking practice, and I became what they call a creative financing specialist. And I learned some very creative financing strategies which enabled me to buy property without using any of my own money, preferring to use the bank's money. And I remember my first buy-to-let that I purchased, the purchase price was, or the price agreed was £60,000. Excuse me, I'm out of breath. Been running out there. £60,000. I agreed £40,000 as a purchase price. I went down the bank. I raised £57,000, paid 40, and banked 17,000. I thought that's the idea. Way to go. So since then, I've built a multi-million-pound property portfolio which I manage myself on a daily basis with member of staff, and that generates a net income each year of well into 6 figures. Now, if you remember, in 2007 we had a bit of a banking crisis, and it became quite difficult to borrow money from the banks. So I needed to find a new strategy to enable me to continue to build my portfolio. Luckily, about that time, Mesud came along, and for the last 3.5 so years, we've been using instalment contracts, which has enabled me to massively build my portfolio. Each deal is averaged between £40,000 and £50,000, and latterly £50,000 plus, and we've done over 40 deals. Mesud, over to you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In 2007, I did an exercise, and I made a promise to myself. So I'd like you to all stand up, if that's all right. And we're going to do the same exercise that I did in 2007. I'd like you to all raise your hands and make a promise to yourself. We're going to repeat this 5 times. I am going to make money from property.
I'm going to make money from property.
Once more. I am going to make money from property. Once more. I am going to make money from property. Once more. I am going to make money from property. Once more. Twice loud. I am going to make money from property. Okay, tonight we're going to show you how we're going to make money from property. An alternative strategy. Right. As you can guess from my accent, I was born in Eastern Europe, Bulgaria. I'm from Turkish origin, born in Bulgaria. So in 2005, 29th of August, I had the chance to start university in the UK. So I took the plane ticket and arrived in the UK. So I started studying at Richmond American International University, business and management student. Right. I arrived first day, I had £825 in my wallet. Next day I had to pay part of my tuition fees, £800. I paid that, I got £25 left. I didn't have any friends, I didn't know anyone in the country, so I made a promise for myself. I'm going to succeed in this country. Although I come from foreign origin, I'm going to make it happen. Same day I found a job and started working part-time in a restaurant in Richmond, West London. So that night I made £40 and I was so happy at the end of the day. I said, great, I made my first money in the UK, I'm on the right track. So I got very friendly with the owner of the restaurant and I started living in the staff house, rented especially for the people working in the restaurant. I realised soon that it was a massive house in Twickenham, West London, and only 2 members of the staff were living in the house. One of them was I. So I said, there's so many empty rooms in this property, I better make some money. So next day I asked the boss, I said, boss, if I manage this property, pay the mortgage, pay the bills, is it alright if I sublet the rooms? He said, go for it, son. I didn't want the hassle anyway, so thank you for saving me from the hassle. I said, great, even we're going to make more money. Soon I found tenants. I just put it on Gumtree, filled the house, and I realised I was making more money than I was working part-time in the restaurant. I said, property is great. I have to multiply this. How can I buy more properties? I was attending networking meetings like yourself in London and around London, and I met Doug in one of the property meetings. I asked Doug, I'm a student, I have a very small income, I know you're the most creative man in the world, can you get me a mortgage? He said, no, just the banking crisis happened and we can't do the creative mortgages anymore. So we have to find an alternative strategy. Soon I started learning how to do the creative stuff, and one day I called Doug, Doug, I know this strategy, I know you've got a lot of leads. Shall we get together and start working on those leads? In the first week, we agreed 3 deals, and we said, great, this business is going to work. And since then, we've been working together. As Doug said, we've done over 40 deals, and my life has changed completely. Now I go on to long journeys in Europe and driving my supercars. So tonight, we're going to tell you how we drive supercars and how we make money.
So, an overview of the evening is we're going to talk about what is an instalment contract. We're going to show you how we're making massive profits from every deal. We're going to show you some real life examples. Then we're going to show you how we're buying and controlling property using a single document. And then we're going to bring our offer to you. We've travelled quite a long way today from Kent. It took us a few hours. So we're going to bring you some interesting information this evening. It would be rude of us just to leave you with a little bit of information and go away without actually offering you the opportunity to learn more. So we have an offer for you at the end of the presentation, which will take about 5 minutes. For those of you that are interested, please listen in. For those of you who are not interested, just close your ears and sing to yourself. I'll get over it as quickly as I possibly can. So, without further ado.
Doug, what is an instalment contract?
Mesud, an instalment contract is not an option. It's not a lease option. Many people get confused with lease options, instalment contracts. They think they're the same thing. They are certainly not.
What is it then?
Well, what we're looking for is that we're looking for a buyer. It's a standard conveyance. We move a buyer into the property, not a tenant. On an option, you're moving a tenant into the property under an AST. Under an instalment contract, we're moving a buyer into the property. So we're looking for people in the UK that are unable to obtain a mortgage, either because they don't qualify or because they haven't got a big enough deposit. Do you think that's most people or the smallest amount of people in the UK today? Hands up who thinks it's the most of the people. So what we're looking for is the largest audience in the UK of those people that are unable to obtain a mortgage because they haven't got a big enough deposit or they don't qualify. Eastern Europeans coming into the country have to wait 5 years before they can apply for a mortgage. So the market is massive. It presents more opportunities because the market is so massive, and it's also the most profitable strategy by far, because when we sell a property to somebody who is unable to obtain a mortgage, who is forced to rent because they can't buy, because the banks are not allowing them to do so, we sell the property at a premium price, which means that we can obtain up to 25% more than the market value. because what we're doing is presenting a unique opportunity to somebody who wouldn't otherwise been able to buy property. So they're prepared to pay a premium price for the property. It also is a unique money-making strategy because it provides profits from day one. Day one is when we exchange contracts with the buyer, they move into the property, they pay a deposit. The deposit can be as little as 3% or could be as much as 10, 20, 50,000 pounds, depending on the value of the property. So it provides day one profits, then it also provides monthly profits. In fact, the profits it provides, I would say, would be well in excess of those profits provided by even HMOs. The reason for that is because we take away the cost of putting a tenant into the property. It takes away the headaches of a tenant. So what we're doing is we're putting a buyer into the property. So the buyer looks after the property and is responsible for the upkeep of the property and all of the expenses of the property. And of course we have no voids. We have no repairs or maintenance. Because of that single issue, it provides far, far more profits than any other strategy.
Come on, show us the profits then.
Let's show them how we're going to do it. So we're going to start off with a babysit.
This is our least profitable deal. This is the worst deal we've ever done.
We wanted to show you this one first because of that reason. We're going to show you a number of these, so you're going to find we're going to repeat, not the same property, but you know, the same ideas, because we find that the best way for you to learn is through repetition. Repetition, repetition, repetition. So by the time you've heard the second or third example, you might start to pick up the idea. We call this a babysit because we're not buying the property. We're simply looking after the property on behalf of the owner. This particular owner, a guy called Glenn, down in Station Road, owns this, it's a one-bedroom flat on the ground floor with a little garden at the front. Glenn wanted to sell this property, was unable to because the offers that he was receiving weren't enough for him to pay off his mortgage. All he wanted to do was sell the property, move in with his girlfriend's parents, save a deposit and buy a house together and have children. This was preventing him from moving on with his life because he had to pay his mortgage, his ground rent, his service charge, and he couldn't save money to buy his house with his new wife. So we agreed with Glenn, after he'd been trying to sell this for over 8 months and just receiving silly low offers, we agreed with him that we would babysit the property and we would also babysit his mortgage payments. And we did that under a single document, not a lease option, not an instalment contract. We did it under a single document, which I'll explain to you later on. So now we have control over the property with our single document. We're babysitting the property and we're babysitting the mortgage payments. We haven't taken over the mortgage, we haven't transferred it, we're just simply babysitting the payments. So we've decided to sell it on an instalment contract, and within about an hour and a half we put it on the market. Mesud, can you tell us what this says?
Buy my one-bedroom flat, no mortgage needed, £5,000 moves you in, $597 a month, and the flat is yours. Call Vicky.
Do you think we might have got some attention? Station Road?
No.
It's on the station, it's like, you know, just across the road from the station. Everybody has to walk past that twice a day. So obviously we did get some attention and we very, very quickly found a buyer. So Mesud, tell us what we did with this. We sold it on an instalment contract.
Well, after we got the attention, actually we got on Kent Messenger, the newspaper, on Kent Radio, and the council and the police decided to call us. So all we had to do is take off the signs after we sell it. So anyway, Tina was walking down the street one day and she saw the beautifully decorated house, and she thought, well, that's interesting and that's exactly what I'm looking for, one-bedroom house. Tina basically wanted to move out. She was separating with her husband, and she needed a one-bedroom place for herself, and that was ideal for her. She had quite a bit of deposit, and we offered her $89,995 is the total purchase price, and £5,000 moves you in. But the problem here was Tina had £19,000 and she wanted to put £19,000 deposit in the property. And we said, Tina, okay, you can put £19,000 deposit, but you can't complete the purchase for 7